So today I'm here with me, that's right, and we're going to do a podcast today about myself, and I'm here with my good friend Stuart Baillie. We've trained together on and off for many, many years. He still uses my gym every weekend to this day. He is the owner, editor and all-round guru of Hastings in Focus online paper, which is doing extremely well. But today we're turning the microphone around and it's going to be on me, so we've got a nice long open interview. I have no idea what he's going to ask me, but a lot of people have asked to hear about me, and obviously I can't just talk about myself, so obviously I invited you along to interview me, and here we are. So yeah, I've got my tea, I've got my water. Let's see how we get on.
And because the subject is bullying.
Yes.
Because it's a subject that's dear to your heart.
Very, very dear to my heart, yes.
The Hastings Kickboxing Academy, one of the basics, one of the fundamentals there is the whole anti-bullying philosophy. And that comes out of something very personal because you were bullied as a kid.
Yes, yeah. Very heavily bullied. From probably, I say day one, that's hard to kind of say, but I would have said I was aware of it kind of in the middle of junior school, so age 8, 9, and back then it was pathetic bullying. It was really quite hard mentally, not physically. So people talk about emotional bullying and physical and emotional bullying. To start with, it was quite emotional. So to the silly little things, I wasn't allowed to play in their games. So we'd be playing catch, and I'd want to play catch, but I wasn't allowed to play catch because I wasn't one of the cool kids. And it kind of started there really, and things over weeks, over months, even over years can compound, I find. So obviously, you see it every day now, the little friendship groups, they come and they go, and this is nothing new. And to start with, there might be people going, well, he wasn't allowed to play catch, oh boo-hoo. That wasn't the bullying then, that was just, I wasn't allowed to play with my mates, or I wasn't allowed to be in the group. And there were days when I was allowed, and there were days when I wasn't allowed. And then as we got older, it got a little bit stronger, it got a little bit heavier, it turned violent, I'd get chased around the playground, I'd get punched and kicked.
Yeah.
The hardest thing really was one day they were friends, and then the next day they just wanted to kick me in the shins. Or...
You mentioned that, but you go back to the game of catch, and one day you'd be allowed to play, one day you wouldn't. And that's almost more difficult because you don't quite know what you're turning up to on any given day.
Yeah, you don't know where you fit, because every day is a challenge, every day is a test, because you would go into school and go, oh, I've bought my ball, and but anyone of my age will probably remember this. You had a Coca-Cola little footballs, mini footballs, and like the yo-yo spinners, and they were huge when we was at school. And I remember like trying to get as many tokens as I could to buy the ball, to take the ball to school, so everyone would want to play with my new Coca-Cola ball. And there'd be days when I would be like, oh yes, play with Cole's ball, and then the next day they'd want to steal my ball, and I wasn't allowed it back.
So was there an element of that, the trying to do things to become the bully's friend? So you got the tokens, you got the ball, because I get that.
Yeah, 100%.
The right way in the group.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a challenge. I think, because you want to be with the cool kids. Everyone does. Like that you can't escape that. No matter, you want to be with the popular kids. Everyone wants to be popular, or 90% of people want to be popular. Some people are happy.
Show me someone who says they don't want to be popular, and I'll show you.
Exactly. It's a bit like saying, I don't want to be rich.
Yeah.
Money doesn't make you happy. No, money does make you happy. Yeah. I'd rather be poor and happy, but I'd rather have money and be happy as well. So yeah, you want to be part of the cool kids. You want to be part of the cool gang. And there was days when I could be because I had the right ball. And hacky sacks was another game we used to play. I remember we used to throw the balls on top of the tower block. It was like a 50-foot high tower block. And the challenge was to try and get the ball on top. And then I remember every 6 months the fire brigade would come down and get all the balls down. But that was kind of the challenge. And it's when you say now, it's them silly little games, but at school that's all you had. Like as a junior school, that's all there was. There was playtime, group time, and then obviously using class learning.
We've been working on the book that you're doing at the moment, and in that you poke fun at yourself, and you've done this in other places as well, and you poke fun at the fact that you're ginger, that as a kid you had what you define, I think, is a bit of a weird haircut. It was probably fashionable at the time.
No, just weird.
But was it, what did the bullies use to target you with? Was it the fact, was it being ginger? Was that, what did they use? What was the ammunition?
I don't think it was because I was directly ginger, but it in turn was in respects to I wasn't the norm. Do you know what I mean? So I remember when I was at Sandown at my very first infant school, there was one black kid in the whole school. So she got picked on every single day. And I remember, I remember little parts of it. I was only 4 years old. But my parents used to tell me I used to stick up for this little black kid all the time. The only black school in the school. So he got picked on because he was a different colour. And I'm sure there's people that shoot me saying that I can't say black, but we were white, he was black. That's how it was. So kind of moving forward from that, I was one of 5 in the whole school that had. People say it was like a big afro-y. My parents didn't understand about having cool clothes and nice haircut. They couldn't afford for me to go and get my haircut every week. So I'd get my haircut once every 6 weeks when the local hairdresser come around and cut our hair for £2. So I have my haircut and it'd look okay, and then 6 weeks later it's just this big ball of ginger mess. It's like an afro, but a fluffy ginger one. I'd pillow perm when I woke up, and my parents would never say to me, "Oh, you need to comb your hair out or look good." They'd be like, "Right, get up and go to school." And a lot of the time they'd gone to work before I'd even gone to school, so I didn't even have that sort yourself out kind of thing. My mum and dad didn't work in offices and didn't say they didn't want to look good, but they were gardeners, so they wore dirty clothes and dirty boots, and they didn't have to shower morning, lunch and night to wear a suit and a tie and look good. So to them it wasn't important, therefore it wasn't important for them for me to look that way. So when I went to school I was just the scruffy kid, I guess. I always had the cheap shoes from the market, whereas all my friends had £60 kickers, and that was the cool thing. And I had either hand-me-down from my brother or £4.99 shoes from the market. So I was the kid with the shoes from the market.
And I suppose, given your age, because you're 40 this year or next year?
40 this year.
I was, given your age, that was the point at which brands were becoming a big thing.
Definitely.
What brand you were wearing, or what brand you weren't wearing, was again that set you apart from other people.
Definitely. Definitely.
And I suppose that perception of wearing something that wasn't as good, so therefore that was just something else to have a go at you about.
Yeah, and we're talking sort of in the middle of junior school. They would pick on everything. Stupid hair, pillow perm, rubbish coat, rubbish shoes, rubbish football. And then you come in with a good football, and all of a sudden you're one of the cool kids again because you've got good football.
For about a day.
For about a day. And then the next day they'd steal it. And then they'd realise that they'd have power over you anyway. So that again, I don't know why. I just had a memory of standing on the naughty spot. So at Silverdale where I went, they had the yellow spots. So when you was naughty, you had to go and stand on the yellow spot. 5 minute time. That and stand there staring at the wall, count the bricks kind of thing. And you didn't dare to move. And the kids that were on them spots, they were like, oh my god! This is in the days when if you were naughty, you were told off and it was strict, and you were worried about the headmaster and teachers shouting at you. Obviously, it's a bit different nowadays. But you was on the naughty spot, and I remember towards the end of Silverdale, I used to go on there quite a lot because I was always in fights, and it was just me trying to protect myself. I wasn't trying to fight. It was like 3 or 4 kids were trying to beat me up, so eventually you end up kicking and punching back, or arguing or screaming or shouting, and then obviously the teachers come over and you go and put on the naughty spot.
I mean, we opened this up by saying that at HKA, the anti-bullying message is a very clear one, and it's something I think you work on with schools as well outside of HKA. Going back to your school days, I'm assuming there wasn't the level of awareness of bullying that there is today, or if there was, did teachers just turn a blind eye to it?
Yes, you're correct. But it's very difficult. That you've got 2 sides of the coin now. So you have, back then, so there wasn't bullying. Of course there was bullying, but there was nowhere near the amount of kind of help, support, network, understanding that we have nowadays. We have so much more kind of help and processes in place to deal with bullying, as we do at HKA. But on the flip side of that, you can get, we had it today, so we had 2 teams of children, playing dodge glove, so like dodgeball with boxing gloves. And then obviously as they went out, you ended up with 3-on-1, so 3 of them threw a glove at the one to get him out. He got hit in the face, then he started crying, and then he said that he's been bullied. And we're like, well, why are you being bullied? And he's like, well, them 3 picked on me. And it's like, well, no, that was the game. You know, there was 5 on each side. You know, you slowly got out, that's the game. And then there was 3-on-1. Their job, them 3, is to throw the glove at you to get you out. Yeah. It just happened to hit you in the face a little bit hard, which is where the shock factor comes in. Yep. But his brain went to, well, they were picking on me, they were bullying me. Well, no, they were just playing the game, and the rules of the game is throw the glove at the other team member. Yeah. And let's be honest, 3-on-1, you're going to get them out, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly, very quick.
But his mindset wasn't being bullied.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if that's a parenting thing, a teacher thing, an online thing, but in his head, they were picking on him when they were not picking on him at all. But that's kind of where his brain went to. So we've now got the other side of the coin where it's gone too far the other way. Oh, someone's called me. I had this a couple of weeks ago. A parent come in, they wanted to chat to me. Son's been bullied at school, and again, I'm happy to speak to anyone about it all the time. So we went in the office, sat down, and I said, okay, right, what's the problem? It's obviously quite severe. He wanted to talk to me. Yeah, one of his friends called him a poo-poo head.
Right, okay.
So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Right, I'm sorry that he's called you a poo-poo head. But that's not bullying.
In the grand scheme of things.
Kids being kids.
Yeah.
You know?
And I suppose there's a fine balance somewhere there.
Yeah. And that's the balance that I think has got blurred or lost.
Yeah. And
one that has to be kind of looked at. So obviously you get lots of bullying now, and like the violence has gone up, the anger has gone up, the social media presence has gone up. So bullying has got 100 times worse. And I'm so glad I'm not a teenager growing up now, because I would have been target 101.
I suppose in your day, once you left the school gates at 4 o'clock, there was nothing to
well, you had to walk home. That was a bit of a.
Well, yeah.
I had to contend with that at times.
I mean, that was going to be my next question, and still going back to junior school. So before you've hit teenage years. Yeah. So going back to those junior school days, outside of school, what were you doing in terms of your circle of friends outside of school? Was there one? Who were they? Were they bullying you in school but being friends outside of school? What was going on there?
Good question. Yes and no. So outside of school I didn't have many friends. I had a handful of friends that I would call friends, and most of them are still friends today. And there were days where back in the day, you would finish school, go home, and you go out and play. And the rules were, I think we shared a video the other day. When do you want me home? When the street lights come on.
Yeah.
That
Oh, yes,
when it gets dark. So obviously in the winter it was earlier than summer. So we'd just go and play football, or we'd play in a garden, or we'd play on push bikes, or we'd go and build a camp. Like I remember going down to Alexandra Park with my dad's wheelbarrow with a bow saw, hammer and a box of nails and some wood, and we would go and build a camp. Oh, Christ knows what we looked like going down the road with a wheelbarrow, loads of tools. But we would just build a camp, because that's what you done back then. And then we used to take our bikes and make ramps. So I had a circle of friends. Most of the time they were friends. You would have all friends fall out. So we had our fallings out, and 1 minute we're friends, then we're shouting at each other, and then we're friends again. I was quite lucky because my parents worked a lot and they were quite relaxed. My mum and dad become mum and dad for most of my friends.
Right, okay.
So we'll go later on when I'm a teenager later on, but people would come around my house, they'd have a sleepover, we'd have a sleepover, and it would be like, oh, sleepover at Coles? Because mum and dad will allow it. Everyone else's mum and dad's like, no, you won't have your mates around, you can go around Coles.
We're not having them round here.
Yeah, like, stand up till 2 o'clock in the morning making noise. So, but they'd come around and have dinner, they'd just walk in the house, they'd go up to my bedroom, they'd turn on the computer, whatever computer I had at the time, and they would sit there and they were like brothers rather than just friends. And as you get older, your sort of circle of friends changes slightly, but most of my sort of close friends are still close friends today.
And in those days, I mean, you mentioned earlier that as things went on, it became violent, but in those early days, Was it verbal? Was it just that exclusion? How did it manifest itself?
It started off as exclusion. It started off with name calling and, you know, you're a skank, you got rubbish hair, you know, you've got no money, your parents are skanks, that kind of thing. And over the years, it kind of escalated.
Yeah.
And then you know, I remember, two of them on about now. But yeah, I remember it would turn into sort of kicking me in the legs, slapping me around the face, pulling me by my hair, pulling you over by your bag, and just kind of embarrassing you.
Yeah.
But I can say that now.
Yeah.
Back then I was getting my head kicked in.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really getting my head kicked in. They were just embarrassing me, making me look stupid, throwing me on the floor, kicking me around the floor. I mean, I had an older brother that used to beat bells out of me for fun. One of my issues is when I get nervous, I laugh. And it's got me in trouble with my mum and my dad. You know, my first 10 kickboxing fights, I was laughing my head off all the way through it. People thought I was insane. But it was a nervous laughter.
Yeah.
So if a teacher shouted at me, I'd laugh. And it wasn't just because I was laughing at them, it was generally I was shitting myself, but I had to laugh. And so when I took a bit of a beating, I'd be laughing my head off. So they thought I was enjoying it.
So we've not.
Well, I can only assume.
Yes. We've not upset him yet, so let's.
Yeah, he's not crying yet. Let's continue kicking him. And I was quite resilient, and I could take a bit of a beating. And when we talk about this sort of senior school stuff,
I think the other thing that you don't realise until later is that there's probably a number of people watching on who kind of wanted to intervene and help, but would have been afraid to do so.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, I don't know because they never did.
Yeah.
And I think back then, if there was a bit of a scuffle, people just kind of left alone to it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that is one good thing now. I think a lot of people do stick up for other people a little bit more now, or I'm certainly seeing that more. Yeah. Whereas a lot of people buried their head in the sand
and just backed off and disappeared.
Yeah. And then what you might do is the next day you might get, oh, I didn't like what Steve done to you yesterday. Yeah. You're like, well, where was you yesterday? Yeah. Cheers. But you know, it's in my head as well. It's not your issue. It's not your problem. And thanks.
And as we're moving on, as you get to secondary school, because secondary school presents its challenges because you're going into a much bigger environment. Yeah. You're not just with the people who you were with at primary school. There are all these other primary schools coming together as well. Yeah. So all these new people that you don't know, and again, new friendships being formed. Yeah. So in the run-up to starting secondary school, was that, were you nervous about it? Were you worried about it?
Petrified. I tried karate when I was 6, 7. I tried boxing, got beat up. Went back to karate a year later and it scared the hell out of me. The instructor was screaming at everyone. I was like, oh, I don't want to go there. Yeah. I've tried gymnastics and you know, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, going into senior school, I was like, junior school was hell for me. So going, you know, from a little pond to a big pond, in my head it was just going to get worse. Yeah. Which it did. Yeah. But I was worried about it, quite concerned. And again, only having a small circle of friends. Yeah. Obviously, you didn't have any social media. You had no one helping you. No, you know, you talk about bullying, but no one really kind of got on board with it. It was just, oh yeah, you've been bullied, man up.
And did your circle of friends, did they move to the same school as you, or were you?
I'd say half and half. Yeah. So half of them went to the Grove, which is obviously no longer about, and the other half was at William Parker. Yeah. And when I say group, we're talking 6 or 7, not big numbers. Yeah.
So you move up to William Parker. You're what, 11?
Yeah, just kind of 11. Yeah.
That was about the same time that you took up, Kung Fu, and then which way did you go to kickboxing?
Yeah. So I wanted to stick this in the story anyway. So a good friend of mine, Daniel Jarvis, I've just come back from Canada snowboarding, and we had a photo together before I left. And he went, oh my God, look at this picture. And there's a picture of mine and Dan's first sparring, which was when we was 11. Yeah. And it's literally the identical photo, just 30 years on, which is insane. But anyway, the reason I started kickboxing is because I went to William Parker and become friends with Dan. We didn't kickbox then, and he moved house. So at the weekend when he moved, I had nothing to do, so I said to his mum and dad, well, I'll help move. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm doing nothing, I'll help you carry boxes. So they moved into town, down in Robinson Street in the town centre. No, it wasn't Claremont, around the corner from Robinson Street. And we were unloading a load of boxes, and his mum, Kathy, who's still a great friend of mine today, she said, "Can you go down the shop and get some milk?" So I'm like, "Okay, cool. Yeah, I've never been down. It's exciting." So I walked down the road to get some milk, and there was a Hastings Martial Arts, which is obviously where I went into, spoke to the instructor, and kind of the story went on from there. But that was how I started kickboxing. He moved house, I helped. I went into there for many reasons, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I started kung fu and then kickboxing, and then I was like telling all my friends, "Oh my God, you've got to come to Hastings Martial Arts! Oh my God, it's like amazing." And some come and go, but Dan was one that come and stayed, and we've been friends, like real good friends ever since.
I mean, you going over the things that you did. You tried karate, you tried boxing, kung fu, kickboxing. Was there an element of doing those fighting sports as a form of self-defence? Somewhere in the back of your mind thinking, if I do this, I can either beat the bullies up myself, or it might actually stop them bullying me because they're going to think I'm a bit too tough for them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that was at the forefront. It was more, I think, more of an escape to focus on something positive.
Yeah.
So school was negative. Some of my life at home was negative. Yeah. So I think I needed something positive, and the second I walked through the door, I felt positive for whatever reason. So I think for me it was kind of, I like it here. I can be me here. So that's why I kind of went there. And then as I got good at it, I think I was like, I feel better about myself. I feel a little bit stronger. I probably could stick up for myself. Yeah. And I think probably that's where the fire ignited for it. So it wasn't I'm going to go kickboxing and learn to fight so I can beat the bullies up. Yeah. That, which is, again, you do get that a lot. Yeah. That definitely wasn't at the front of my mind.
And you've also talked in the past and written in the past about the fact that really from the age of 11 you were spending huge amounts of time at the gym. And is that, you mentioned there, school was negative, the gym was positive. So was that why you were spending so much time there? Because you were getting this kind of positive, really upbeat, it was making you feel good?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're 4 years old or 44 years old, or if you're at school or at work or at college. We want to feel good, don't we? Who wouldn't want to be on this planet and not feel good? Yeah. So for my mind, it was like, well, school is a negative in my head, and the gym was a positive. Yeah. So it made perfect sense to me to spend as much time as I could at the gym. I was around decent people, I was around motivated people. My instructor was a hero to me. Yep. Everyone that trained pretty much were decent people. They were all there for the same reason. I used to go to school and I used to rollerblade from school to the gym. It wasn't like, "Oh, Mum, pick me up." They were still at work. Yeah. Like, if you want to go to the gym, get there yourself. So 2 mile skate down into town, and if I was lucky, I'd get picked up afterwards at 9 o'clock.
But I mean, sport and martial arts in particular are a great leveler. And so again, having come from that, I suppose where you're a bit afraid of what's going to happen, afraid of what's going on at school, so to come to somewhere where you can feel on a par with everybody else, and they're probably treating you on a par, must have been quite...
I was lovely. I wasn't a stupid ginger kid with shit clothes.
So you're there. So you've found Hastings Martial Arts. You've also gone into this bigger school, and from what you're saying, bullying was about to get turned up a notch.
Yeah. So when I went from junior school to senior school, the bullies kind of continued, and I'll tell you about another story about one of them.
The same ones or different ones? Or
That's pretty much
the same ones.
The same ones
with extras added.
With plus M8s. Yeah. And again, I don't want to sound like I moan about it, because I've never moaned about it at all. It's kind of made me who I am now, so I'm actually thankful for it now. Yeah. But back then, they would, it was just them and then their friends. So, and it was the silly thing. So you'd go into form tutor, and you'd go and sit down, and one of them would kick the chair away from you, so you'd land on the floor, and then another one would push the table on top of you. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then they'd give you a couple of kicks while you're lying there. And it's all like fun and games. Like, look at Cole. And then whenever I fired back, so I would take it and take it and take it. And then when I fired back, it was like coming in, it would go from fun and games to a bit more serious as all actually. And I've only had probably 2 or 3. I mean, the kids would say, "Oh, street fights," but scuffles at school. But most of the time, it would kind of get to the point where it should probably kick off, and then it didn't. It just, we was right on that point. But I think if I'd fought everyone, if I'd slapped someone that had slapped me, or if I'd kicked someone that had kicked me, or if someone called me an idiot, I kicked off. If I'd done that, I would have had 3 or 4 fights a day, every day, for years.
Because that's what I was about to say. You're talking about you're going into form times to kick the chair or whatever, but that wasn't something that was happening occasionally. That was happening all the time.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. And it was the little things every day. Again, they don't do it now, but at William Parker used to go. William Parker was an all-boys school, grammar school. So when you'd done PE, for example, you'd go into the change room, get changed, and you'd go and do rugby, cross-country hockey, and obviously you get covered in mud. Come back. Back then, you had to have a shower. So people will be listening to this now and going, "What?" But back then, that's what you done. And then you come at your hook, and all your clothes are gone. Do you know what I mean? Like, where's my clothes? Oh, Rob's took them. Oh, Sean's got them. Like, can I have my clothes back? No, come and get them. It was just that constant, everyday, like, digging and digging and digging, and like, do you know what I mean? It just made you feel horrible because every day you thought, "Oh, I've got PE. Oh, I've got this. Oh, they're in that class."
So so you start to, you're looking ahead and you're seeing the negatives, you're seeing the problems. How come that didn't make you angry or aggressive? Or you're saying that you could have ended up having 3 or 4 fights a day. What was it that stopped that happening?
Fear of hurting people, I think. To start with, I just got angry and I wasn't strong enough. I didn't believe in myself enough to lash out. So I'd done everything in my power not to lash out because I didn't want to get in a full-on fight. While I was being kicked in my legs, hit with a chair, and I mean, like, you know, they'd pick up a chair and hit me with it. I was good enough to block it and it hurt my arm, but a sore arm was much better than a broken nose or a missing tooth kind of thing. So I always thought if I kick off, it will get worse. So just absorb. And did I say it right? Absorb. Don't know. I'll never get that word right. So stay in school and listen, because then you'll get your words right. As Charlotte always tells me. So as I started to get good at kickboxing, obviously I've become quite a lot more resilient, but I could actually fight back. Which I still didn't want to, because then the fear turned into, well, if I do punch someone or kick someone, first of all, I'm going to get in trouble. Second of all, it's going to hurt, or, you know, someone's going to get hurt. I don't just mean, you know, a bit of a graze on their face. You know, we're talking damage.
Because you've got the skill, you've got the technique, you know what you're doing.
You know, not being big-headed. When I was 14, I went from semi-contact to full contact. Obviously, semi-contact is points light. You know, the first one gets a point. That kind of thing. For the people that don't understand, but full contact is, as people would know, full contact boxing. You know, you punch each other as hard as you can till one of you's lying down, and then the rest stops it. So when I was 14, I went full contact, and back then you didn't really go full contact until you were sort of 17. You know, child protection and all that kind of stuff. And none of my friends really would spar me, so I ended up hanging around with the older kids at the gym. I ended up sparring the older children, so I was like 13, 14, and I was with 17, 18, 19-year-olds plus. And I even remember my dad come down, and I'd just turned 14, and none of my mates would spar with me. My dad boxed in the army, and he's going to kill me for saying this. But because my friends would spar with me, my dad was like, "Well, I'll spar you. I'm fully grown adult, I'll take it." And I knocked him clean out. Like, I was banging out adults as a child, so I knew I had heavy potential to hit people, and it was like, I can't go to school.
So if you were doing all of this, because my reading it, and I'm thinking back to my school days, if someone was boxing, if someone was being successful in some kind of fighting sport, it was kind of, there was a certain respect, a certain deference. So why do you know why the bullying continued, or were they just trying to sort of get you to respond? Were they trying to get you to lash out?
Hierarchy. So year 7, 8 were the bullies from junior school going into senior school. And again, like, even going back to it, I might try and say, oh, he was only having a laugh, but it's that everyday compounding that was bad. You know, I say getting hit with a chair or pushed over, or he has to pick me up and throw me into lockers for fun. Yeah. You know, I'd cut my head open. I mean, I got thrown through a reinforced glass window.
Right, okay.
And I remember Mr. James, he was like, what did you do that for? And I'm like, what do you mean, what did I do that for? I've just been thrown down the stairs so you got like a tower block. So you got obviously a towered set of stairs that spiral up. And you know, barging down the stairs as the kids do. And obviously I was target number one to be picked up and thrown as a dart. And yeah, I put my head straight through a reinforced glass window, which is the one with the wire mesh in it. It cut my head. It wasn't pouring out with blood, but there was blood on my shirt, there was blood on my head, there was glass everywhere.
And that could have been so serious.
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean, technically it should have shattered my head open. Yes. I cut my head open or caused some skull damage, probably did.
That's why you're the way you
are. Yeah, that's why I am. But yeah, obviously a teacher heard the commotion was coming out of the classroom, and I got told off for it because I've smashed the window. And I'm like, obviously, so I was like, hold on a minute, sir. Like, I've just been, like, they threw me down the stairs, and they're like, yeah, you must have headbutted it. I'm like, why would I headbutt a reinforced glass window? One. Second of all, you can see where like the impact of the glass is, because the sort of glass had shattered here and the cut was here. So you think I sort of reverse headbutted the window for fun? He's like, well, Cole, you know what you like, you're always getting in trouble, rah, rah.
So because we're now in the early 1990s, so again, the teachers, the involvement in school clearly wasn't, it was kind of boys would be boys, I presume, was kind of the attitude.
And I think, I think back then boys would be boys, you know, we would, you know, there was always having fun, getting in trouble and having a laugh. But when I got good at kickboxing, basically what happened is, so when we talk about the bullies from junior school, we sort of continued in the senior school. And I remember I'd had 4 or 5 wins on the trot, and then I got a British title, and I won the British title, 94, I think. And I remember being at the vending machine, getting some chocolate out of the vending machine, and Danny come up to me and he said, "You all right, Carl?" And I hadn't seen him to talk to for probably 6 months. So I, all right, Dan. And he's went, "Oh, I see you won like title. He was in the paper last week. I see you won a title." I'm like, "Yeah, cheers, mate." And he said, "We used to bully you." I was like, "Yeah, I know." And he's like, "I wouldn't do it. Like, I wouldn't fucking do it now." I'm like, "Cheers."
It's good to know.
Good to know. So kind of what did happen, and I didn't really realise at the time, the ones that wanted to be the cool kids and be hard were the ones that bullied me because I was a target and single. But we was in the paper every other week. We was fighting every weekend. You know, we were winning tournaments, getting first places. We'd do local shows so people would get to know our names. And me and Danny, Ross, Ian, Nick, we were a strong little team. We'd go and clean up at shows. Like, we'd come away with like 5 firsts, 2 seconds. Do you know what I mean? We'd do really, really well. But then what happened is, like, the hard kids of the year, you know, the ones that are like 6 foot tall and they're 14 years old with a beard kind of thing, you know, big families, that kind of thing. They then started going, "Oh, you think you're well hard, don't you?" And I'm like, "No." And they'd be like, "Yeah, you're a kickboxing champion. Like, I could beat you up." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So it just moved on.
So it just shifted and evolved.
Yeah. So it moved from the cool kids that thought they were fighting hard to the kids that were hard with the bigger families. You know, they were the kids that smoked. They were the kids that went out at weekends and drunk and stuff. Sorry, guys. But I mean, I see them now, and like, I get on with most of them now, and they're, you know, like, we've all grown up.
Probably sending their kids to your classes.
Some of them do, yes. Yeah. And some of them have been brilliant. Some of them said, like, "I can't believe what a dickhead I was." Back in school. But you know,
that was then.
That was then. You know,
and they were.
And honestly, most of them, it's water under the bridge.
But one of the things that I found remarkable, knowing you as I do, is that there are many people who, having had that treatment, would have sort of kind of lain down underneath a stone and sort of, you know, not done anything. Whereas you almost seem to have used that. I mean, first of all, how, as you were going through your teens, how were you feeling? What were your parents saying? Were they aware that this was going on? Or?
Oh, difficult. My parents weren't about much. You know, we had a big mortgage. and that wasn't because we had a mansion. Just you know, they wasn't academically brilliant. You know, my dad was, you know, a gardener and a builder. My mum was a gardener. You know, they were busy with their business. So I've always understood work ethic. Get up at 6, go to work. We had students in the summer to help pay for the bills. That kind of thing. You know, grandma and granddad didn't leave them any money. They were still about. So you know, and they weren't rich. So we always had to work for our money. And my dad would drive to London every day, leave the house at 6 a.m, go home at 9 p.m. So there were weeks, months when I didn't see him. And then when mum was doing the gardening and looking after students, or she'll be there, me and my mum argued all the time. But she would just be like, well, just fucking it and back. And I'm like, well, that's not advice, because then I'm going to get expelled, and then you're going to shout at me for being expelled, and then you're going to ground me, which I won't listen to anyway.
So, well, I mean, was that, so you just hit them back, was that a bit, you know, to stand up for yourself? You know, be a man?
Probably. I mean, my mum was a proper redhead.
Right.
It was a standing joke that you could hear my mum shout my name from miles away. So when we'd be down the school playing, and you'd be like, Cal! And they'd rip it out of her. Like, everyone was petrified of her, because when she shouted, she went.
You knew it.
Yeah, definitely. She was like the foghorn that brought us home. So I probably had that fire in me, but never had the confidence to allow that fire to come out. And it still doesn't really until I get really pushed. I've got quite a long fuse, and then when the fuse is gone, then all hell's breaking.
It was about it.
Which is probably like once a year. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't happen often at all.
I mean, we spent quite well. We spent about half an hour now talking about kind of the negatives of bullying, and I think what you want to do is really sort of not to say you want to discuss the pluses of bullying is wrong, but it's about what that's done. I mean, how do you feel all that experience as a teenager, as a youngster, junior school, secondary school, all the rest of it, how do you feel that's shaped you? You said earlier on, it's kind of made me who I am today. How did it do that?
Well, it's given me a backbone, I guess. I feel with anything we do in life, you have to be able to live it to understand it. So, you know, I've lived the world of pain, I've lived bullying, I've lived not having a mum and dad about as a support network. So I've had to stand on my own 2 feet, which has made me the person I am today, which is probably why I have the business I have, and why we help so many people so often. So I'm thankful for it now, but back then, it didn't feel like that. Like I'll always say to my instructors, you know, to be, for example, to get your blue belt, you have to have at least 3 light con fights. Because if you're going to become a coach, how can you coach someone how to fight if you've never had a fight? Be a brown belt, you have to have a full contact fight, even if you don't want to. Because how can you coach people? How can you be an instructor
without having done it yourself?
Without doing it yourself. You know, oh, well, that car's really fast, or that kettle's really hot. Well, you don't know how hot until you've tried it for yourself. So you have to walk the walk. And I think that's probably why we are where we are today, because I've walked the walk and felt the pain, and I've gone through the days of, you talked about the pain, you know, when kids go, I don't know what to do, like I've walked across bridges and thought, well, if I fall off, I fall off. You know, it wasn't a suicidal thought. I wasn't like, I'm going to kill myself. But there's a bridge on Snowhenge Road, I used to walk along the pit, like cars used to toot me all the time. And like people think, what are you doing, get off? I'm like, well, fine. And it wasn't like I want to jump off. But it was, well, if I fall, I don't really care. So I mean, I've been on that line, I think. So when we deal with children now, I understand the pain of that feeling of being at that level. So I can be on their level and understand their pains, their thoughts, their feelings.
You've been through it, you understand exactly how they feel.
And I only had that because no one else gives a shit. So why should I give a shit? Basically, that's probably what was in my head at the time. I don't know what was in my head at the time because I was 13, 14 years old. But what I do know is when I went to the gym, it all disappeared. Whether it be for an hour or an evening, it just disappeared. And then the next day it would start again. Obviously until I grew up.
An interesting one, you again, we mentioned earlier the sports you tried out, boxing, kung fu, karate, kickboxing, they're all quite violent sports. How do you justify, how do you balance taking part in violent sports with an anti-bullying policy? Because what you're doing in your classes is you're teaching someone how to punch someone into unconsciousness, or kick someone into unconsciousness. Yet at the same time, discouraging that through bullying. So do you see there being a conflict, or do you actually see martial arts as being about restraint and you discipline and using your talents wisely?
It's a great question, and probably one I get challenged on. I used to get challenged on it daily, but less so now. Exactly what you just said. How can we talk about anti-bullying and not being violent, but yet we teach people how to punch and kick stuff? So I would say, if we've got, say, about 300 members a week, roughly, out of them 300 members, only about 30 of them compete. So that's only a 10% pool of fighters over people that train. And as you know, at HKA, we are a family gym. So I would say, out of the 90% that are left, 70% of them there are to lose weight, tone up, get fit, get rid of unwanted anger, stress, be a place where they belong. Excuse me. So it's not the medium of fighting where we start. The fighting is a byproduct of if you become good, and then you continue the sport on. So we used to get it 10 years ago, we'd get people coming, I want to learn how to fight. But very quickly you worked out that they wasn't the sort of people that we wanted at that gym. And there are a few other gyms about where they do have a pool of fighters, but that's all they have. That's wrong. But they're known for being a fighter's gym, which is fine. That's what they want to be. That's not what we want to be. And most of the children that come to us that are being bullied, it's about building up their self-confidence. But don't get me wrong, at the end of the day, if a child is being bullied and there's 6 kids kicking him, at what point do you turn around and go, well, hit him back? Or you got kicked in the shin. And I always say, look, if someone calls your name, walk away. If someone slaps you, walk away. Whereas some parents will go, if someone slaps you, slap them back. I'll even say to the point, if someone punched you, just take it on the chin, smile at them and go, is that all you want? Is that all you've got? Even if you're crying inside, which is, that's happened to me in the past. Like you're going, oh my God, that really hurt. But just say to them, is that what you got? I thought you were meant to be tough. And normally that's enough, certainly at a younger age, for them to feel demoralised and
just diffuse
the situation. But at what point you get punched once, you get punched twice, his mate comes on and pushes you over. So now you're on the floor. At some point you will have to fight back. And it's not actually, I mean, we work with some quite hard children at the moment that will fight probably on a regular basis. So probably they do. But they're not tough, they're not strong, they're not hard. It's like handbags at dawn. And it's just their anger. So we work with them on their anger. We burn their energy out, we get them hitting the bags. Again, they'll come in and I'm like, right, no, I've had a bad day. I've been chatting with my mum and my brother's an idiot and dad's walked out again. And all they want to do is hit something. A bag, a set of focus pads,
It's a really interesting point you make there, because my own sort of martial arts journey through sort of judo and things like that, you could always tell when someone's had a bad day because they always fight that bit harder. And I'm sure there's a politically correct mob who don't like this being said these days, but at some level there is a kind of instinctive thing about fighting in human beings.
Yeah, definitely. I don't care who you are. You could be the most calmest, relaxed, chilled out, laid down person in the world, but we all have stress. It's just at what level. So, some people might spill a glass of water and go mental over it, whereas others could write their car off and not give a monkeys. But we all have breaking points, and whether it be your friends, your family, your diet, your education, your job, we'll all carry stress driving to work, sitting in traffic, drama that you've dealt with at the weekend. And for me, I say we teach 300, sometimes 400 people a week, and I can safely say 99% of them come into the gym, they leave feeling better because they have released whatever stress they're carrying for that day. Like 100%.
I'm looking at HK because I've been there a few times when you've had sort of big classes going and lots of kids in there, and you're almost as a bit of a Pied Piper character. Everybody knows you. Everybody likes you. Clearly, enjoys working with you.
That's nice to hear.
Well, that comes over. And again, that's the sort of thing I can say, which you couldn't have if you were just doing this as a monologue.
Yeah.
But it is something that I think you notice in the atmosphere of the place. But going back again to something you touched on earlier about self-confidence and kids who've been bullied lacking self-confidence, and you having that empathy and understanding, presumably your self-confidence was damaged as a teenager. And even younger than that. So when those kids are talking to you about those issues, again, you know at a very fundamental level how they're feeling.
Definitely. Yes.
And therefore able to do something to help. I suppose it's not about help, it's support.
It's definitely support. I mean, today we had a group in and we sat down with, we had 9 in today, and we sat down with all of them for about 10 minutes and we just said, look, how are you finding the course? How do you find you developing? Is there anything like you haven't enjoyed? You know, what are you enjoying? How have you found your school life, your home life? And most of them are like, yeah, I really enjoy it. My anger's become less. And these are challenging kids, bad home lives, really troubled at school, dyslexic, ADD, ADHD, all the letters you could throw at them. But you know, so I know what it's like sitting in an English class and not being able to read, you know, a page out loud to the class, and then obviously people take the piss out of you for it. So I do understand that pressure of that English, maths, science at school, and you know they're just so grateful to kind of be out of the education for a few hours and you know have a positive role model that a lot of them have said to me today. You know, Dad doesn't care, but you actually care about me. Letting their anger out, hitting the bags, having some fun, blowing off some steam, getting out of the system for a few hours. So I completely understand.
And the work you're doing with some of the academies, where you're just working with groups of, as it was, difficult youngsters, you've seen some really quite remarkable progress over a relatively short period of time.
Yeah. Again, sorry, we have had teachers say, but you're taking like John and Michael. They're really violent. They keep getting in fights. They keep arguing. They keep kicking off, throwing chairs in the classroom, and you're taking them to a place where they're going to punch and kick stuff and learn how to fight. And then now we've been there 6 months, they're starting to say, do you know what, he now sits in the class and listens. Because we've got rid of his anger, we've had a chat with him, and now they actually understand that they can focus. We don't just teach them kickboxing, and we'll help them understand that if they continue kicking off, they will get expelled and then they won't have an education. You know, we'll say to them, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you want a car? Well, yeah. Well, how are you going to buy your car? Well, I'll get a job. Well, how are you going to get a job? Well, I'll just get a job. But how? Because you're expelled from every school in the town, so no one will employ you. Oh, well, I'll go and work at McDonald's. Like, there's even a waiting list at McDonald's. You know, they have, because of employment and the town, you know, employers have the choice to employ who they want because there's a lot of people that want jobs. So, you know, even, I wouldn't say the lower spectrum of jobs, that's wrong, but they thought that they could just go to McDonald's and get a job.
Yeah, easy.
And it's not that easy, or Tesco's or Sainsbury's or wherever. But, you know, they can pick who they want.
And also that if they have a bad reputation at school, that reputation is going to follow them because if they're getting references from teachers or whatever, that's not going to be a good thing.
I mean, we even teach them about that. So, for example, Johnny goes into class 1 and has an argument with the teacher. At break, that teacher will go to the classroom and go, oh, I've just had a massive argument with Johnny. And then the other teacher will go, oh, I've got him in period 2. So instantly, he's got a target on his back. That, you know, it's just, you all know how someone's going to be because, like you say, you build a picture up of them. So something we work on is to try and get them, because we have the time to sit down with them and go, look, why are you stressing? And obviously I can't get into details, but there'll be some very good reasons why they're angry. And when you sit down and have 20 minutes with them, you can go, well, no wonder he threw a chair at a teacher, because actually, if you knew what happened at the weekend, you would probably throw a chair at someone too, because it's quite, and we're not talking about mum called him a name, we're talking quite serious stuff. So to get the understanding of that, and then because they've explained it, because they've talked about it, they feel like they've got it off their chest. And it's not necessarily the school's problem or fault, because you know the English teacher hasn't got time to teach 35 children and then go and spend 20 minutes outside in the corridor talking to Johnny about what's happened at the weekend, because they've still got a job to do. So it's easier for them to just have a go at them and exclude them, or put them into isolation, or 10-minute time out because they're not listening. They don't want to listen because they're dyslexic, ADD, and they've had a really bad weekend. So they do need that extra nurturing. But I do understand why the teachers, you know, that if I'm honest, I don't think they get paid enough. I don't think they have enough time to do their job, because their job's hard work.
And too many things on the national curriculum that they have to cover to actually spend time doing that pastoral work.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, it's well, that's probably why they employ myself now, to try and take that load away. And yeah, it just seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger. We do more and more and more about it.
Going back to your own experiences, when or how or did the bullying stop?
It still goes on today. Probably when I went into work, and I still got bullied when I was at work, but 90% of it kind of stopped when I left school. I left school and went straight into work. I'm not academic. Anyone that follows me and knows me will know that I wasn't particularly great at school. You've seen my spelling. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. If you ever get a chance to read version 1 of my book when it comes out, you'll know. But yeah, I wasn't academic. I had a really strong work ethic. You know, I had 3 or 4 jobs as a kid. You know, I was head paper boy and run the paper shop when I was a child and that kind of thing. Had car washing around. You know, I needed money. So when I left school, I went straight into work. And again, I worked really hard. So all the school bullying stopped. There was a little bit at work, but again, I wouldn't call it bullying. I'd just call it, you know, pecking order at work.
Banter?
Yeah, banter. Just quite strong banter.
Yeah.
And then that's probably when I started to understand about looking a bit better. Say having better clothes. It's not about having better clothes, but it's not about wearing hand-me-downs.
I suppose that's when you started to have control over that.
Yeah, because I had my own money.
Yeah.
You know, the first thing I've done is when I got a job. Left school, when I got a job.
Yeah.
Remember Phillips, building kettles. But yeah, I got my first paycheck. It was like £150 a week.
Yeah.
And back then I was like, wow, I haven't earned that in a year. I've got that in a week. Yeah. You know, I'm a right petrol head. I love my cars, so you know, I started saving for a car straight away because I knew it was going to cost me money. Yeah. But that was the goal: leave school, get a job, buy a car. Car was happy.
And all of that time, your kickboxing career still
yeah. You know, eat, sleep, breathe, the gym. Yeah. So kind of we got, you know, I got good. My team around me, my family in the gym, we all got good at kickboxing, so we'd all go to shows and we'd do well. And then, because I was one of the strongest of the group, I guess, at a younger age, I started hanging around with kind of the next level up. So when I was like 15, I was hanging around with like Nick Sampson, Ian Ford and a few of the others, but they were like 17, 18. Yeah. So they all had cars. So like if they would go out for the weekend to the cinema or they'd go swimming as a group, I would go with them. Yeah. So I actually spending more time with my older friends from the gym, but I was doing older things. So I probably matured quicker.
A bit more quickly, yeah.
You know, I moved out, if I'm honest, when I was 15, 16. Like Jenny had a flat, started living with Jen. Yeah. Obviously, Mum hated it. Dad didn't really care. I didn't care.
He's gone.
Yeah, you know, Mum didn't care. Dad didn't care. I didn't care that Mum cared. Yeah, that kind of thing. And then Jenny was renting, and at the age of 17, I said, "Why don't you buy a flat?" And she's like, "I can't buy a flat." And back then it was a 2-bedroom masonette, 28 grand. And I was like, "Yeah, but you're paying like £400 a month rent. You could get a mortgage for £300 a month. It makes sense." Yeah. And she's like, you know, back then getting a mortgage at like, you know, I was 17, she was 20, a bit older than me. But back then that was insane. All my mates were going out with their cars, getting drunk, spending their money, clothes, and I was like, well, let's get a mortgage. So I bought my first house then, because I said, well, I'll buy it with him. And then, yeah, but I guess that was kind of, probably the start of my business brain actually really going, right, let's kind of make a bit more of a stand.
Just one final point on that period of your life. I think the thing we said about work and the bullying continued, but that sort of being, you know, where does banter cross into bullying? Yeah. Is that something you can define? Because we all banter with our mates, and the people I think we are most, well, we say some of the nastiest things to, are those probably closest to us. So can you define, do you know Can you put your finger on the point at which banter becomes bullying?
I suppose the straight answer is no. But it will be, I think, on when the person you're aiming at takes offence. So if it's your best mate calling you an idiot, you'd laugh it off. If it's a complete stranger calling you an idiot, you'd take quite offence to it. It's still the same word, it's still the same name, and they still might have the same point.
It's context.
Yeah, but who's it come from?
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, nowadays we talk about the snowflake era, you know, the iPads, iPhones, people all the time, they get offended so quickly. And I think that's because they've lost their hardened shell because everyone will sit on the keyboard or press buttons and have a go at each other. So I think it comes down to the individual. I know people that will take an awful lot before they even bite or talk about bullying. It's not bullying, it's just banter. You know, your mates can say what they want because it's your mates. If it's someone you don't know, it's not so nice, is it? So it's a tough one, and I think it depends on your resilience. So what we get most of now, I say most of, I reckon 50% of what we take on at HKA is a parent will come to me and say, well, he's just a bit weak, he's a bit of a wimp. Someone called him a name and he cried, or you know, he doesn't want to walk to school by himself, or he's going to big school next year and he's a bit of a petal. And it's just that resilience. I do think we are losing our resilience as we get older, because you go out less, because going outside is worse. You know, there's nasty people in the world. You've got the internet that you can see everything. You know, anyone pretty much at any age can pick up an iPad and pretty much watch whatever they want. You know, we've got 8-year-olds, 7-year-olds playing like GTA games where, like, I've done a podcast about it the other week. You've got an 8-year-old that thinks it's okay to go to a strip club and shoot people and beat people up. And that's become the norm. But it's all on a computer. So, you know, the days of going down the park and falling out of a tree.
Or taking the wheelbarrow with the...
Taking the wheelbarrow on a hammer and nails. Do you know, if I hit my finger, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I just think it's changed. And I think a lot of people are losing their resilience, even to the point where parents will be like, oh, can you have a word? I'm like, why? Well, he's been a bit naughty. And I'm not, I will, but it's your kid.
You're the parent. You're the parent.
Like, I'm just the, like, they give us some tracks and they're like, yeah, but he listens to you.
Do some parenting.
Yeah. I mean, literally last week, and bless them, a parent said to me, can you have a word with my two? I'm like, yeah, what's up? Well, they've been a bit naughty at home. So there's that part of me that goes, well, you're the parent, they're your child, sort them out. And then there's that part of me that says, actually, I'm really honoured that they, A, feel that I'm worthy enough to speak to their children. And I'm also, obviously, it's very nice to know that the children respect us enough to listen. So these two children, I said, can I have a quick word? They're like, yeah. I said, come in the office. And you can see them go, oh, no, I'm in the office. And I literally sat down and went, right, do you know why I sat you down? And they're sort of looking into their feet. And I'm like, come on, why are you here? And they're like, I'm like, what's mum and dad said? And they're like, we've been naughty. I'm like, right, and are you going to do it again? And they're like, no. And I felt really, really bad. Their daughter just burst into tears. I said it as calmly and as softly as that. And I said, look, I'm not telling you off. I'm just letting you know that mum and dad aren't happy. But why was that so much more of an impact than mum and dad shouting at them?
Yeah.
I don't know. But for whatever reason, it had that impact. And I'm amazed by it. Even now, I even sort of pinch myself and go...
Which is back to the point I was making earlier about the Pied Piper. And I think you probably, I suspect you probably aren't aware of just quite how those kids sort of look up to and respect you.
But it's meant, it is mental.
It is.
I don't understand it. I don't know why. I mean, it's lovely that they respect me that enough, and I can have that power, if that's the right word to use.
Yeah.
You know, but knowing just that soft little word, and I don't like to shout. I try not to shout. I will do if I have to, but I'd rather softly say to someone, like, what are you doing? Yeah, that was. Sort your shit out. Like, what are you doing? Think about what you're doing.
So, you're into your 20s, you're working, you've been training for all these years, so you take the decision to set up your own club. You become an instructor, you
sort of.
you decide to do your own thing.
Yeah.
I mean, presumably in the early stages, you were just, and I use the word advisedly, but just a kickboxing club.
Yeah.
The additional stuff, so the anti-bullying, the pastoral stuff you do, wasn't there at the time. So at what stage in the development of HKA did you look at things and say, well, actually, we need to have a bit, I hate this word, it's a very modern word, but we need to have a more holistic approach?
I think it was just a slow transition, probably, for want of a better word.
So there was no big road to Damascus?
No. It wasn't like a light bulb moment.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to do anti-bullying. And in all fairness, when we actually started talking about it, I actually didn't want to kind of say go down that road. That's the wrong way of saying it. But I didn't want to become like this is other people's words. It said like the anti-bullying ambassador.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to be that. That's not. I don't want to be poor you and poor them. I just want to do my passion, which is kickboxing. But obviously, what we were finding is more and more people needed our help, and a large part of that was because of bullying, and mainly low self-esteem, which manifested from bullying.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a logical step, but we didn't have a light bulb moment. We didn't turn around and say, we need to be doing this.
Yeah.
And when back then it wasn't we, it was more me.
Yeah.
Kickboxing was a fitness, fun place to be, and it still is, but that's what it was. And then just over time, it's become, people have said, oh, Carl really helped with my son and daughter, go and give him a shout. And so I'll get a phone call going, oh, you've really helped out our friend Sam with her young two. Would you be able to help us out? I'm like, yeah, of course I can, bring them along. Yeah. And I guess here we are today.
It builds from there.
Yeah, and when we become the academy many years ago, because we were Hastings Martial Arts, and as we grew and grew, my old instructor basically said that I could run the gym. So I kind of fell into it, took over, and it grew, and I didn't actually realise what was happening. And then eventually I was told that I had to change his name because his business was still called that, and his business partner said, you've got to get him to change his name, he's growing too big, and all you ever see now is Cole Denny, Hastings Martial Arts, and not our business. So I had a meeting with him years ago, and he said, look, you need to change your name. And it hurt so much, because I've only ever known HMA. So when we changed it, it was horrible. Everyone's like, oh, what a cool name. And I'm like, I hate it. To start with, I hated it. It was the best I could come up with, but...
And again, in terms of the development, in terms of your progress, because talking about the self-confidence to do things, and even just the self-confidence to look at you buying that first flat at the age you were, was there a point, because this was the thing I said earlier about many people having gone through the bullying you'd gone through would not have had the self-confidence to do the things. So are you aware of what you did to kick against that negative?
No.
Again, it was just something that evolved.
I still do it today.
Yeah.
I'm 40 this year, and there's still things that I fight against. I might have, oh, should I do that? Don't know if I should do that. And Charlotte's in the front room working from home today. She'd like, oh, should we do that? Or don't know if you should do that. And I tend to kind of fight against the curve quite a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going back to that resilience in respect to, I want to prove everyone wrong. So at senior school, when everyone's doing their exams and their mocks, and everyone's picking what they're going to do when they're going to be older, obviously there's no way I was going to be an English teacher or working in London. I was like, well, I want to be a kickboxing instructor. And they're like, you can't be any kickboxer, that's not a job. So I'm like, yeah, but that's what I want. You asked me what I want to be, that's what I want to be. Yeah, but you need to pick a real education. I'm like, well, a real job that will earn you real money. And I'm like, I don't care about the money. You've asked me what I want to be, that's what I want to be. The other thing was a fireman. Mm-hmm. But my eyes aren't bad.
You're not a bit short for that.
Well, back then you had to be 5'7". So, and I'm 5'6.5" in the morning. So it could be a fireman, and believe it or not, you have to have really good English.
Right.
And I was like, what, to put out fires? And I just wanted to go and put out fires, save people from burning buildings. I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, but that wasn't meant to be. So back to my other option, which was kickboxing, and I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to happen. But my point was, if someone told me I couldn't do it, I would do everything in my power to prove that I could.
Do you think some of that drive? And that drive is still there because you got your 4th Dan last year, for example.
Third.
Sorry, third.
No. Although I'd like to be 4th.
So that drive that makes you do things like that, Is that still a little bit about showing those bullies from your early years? You didn't think much of them, but look what I've done now.
Yeah, I guess. It's not, I don't do it because of that, but there probably
but
is
just somewhere there at the back of your subconscious.
I love, when we used to jump our bikes, everyone was like, you'd never make that jump. So I'd be the one that goes, yeah,
I can do that.
Yeah, we can. And if you don't, then we're going to learn that that's the maximum. That's the limit.
Found the boundaries. Found the edge.
Yeah. But I talk about this with my fight team, like, where are our breaking points? And talking about driving a car fast, I drive reasonably quickly, that I would say. And say if you go around the corner at 40, some people are like, oh, you're going too quickly, slow down. Whereas I'll be like, I'm still going slowly. Whereas someone else under his hammer might be going, oh my God, like, you're going at snail's pace. And what's the limit? The limit is when you crash. The limit is when you burn out. So you go around the corner at 40. I know people that say it's too quick. And I'm like, well, I know I can do it at 50. So you do it at 50, you start to screech. You do it at 55, you start to lose control. You do it at 60, you crash. But at 40, you're nowhere near the limit. And I personally feel the only time you really find your limits or your boundaries is when you push to that line and step over it. Because otherwise, if you never get to that limit, how do you know that's the limit?
And competition does that a lot, because and especially in a sort of one-to-one sport, kickboxing, it's you and the other guy. So the limit, you have to know where your limits are. Both in terms of what you can give and what you can take.
Yeah, I have to know my team's limit. I have to know at what point are they going to stop as well. But the only way we find that is by pushing them past it, which is horrible. Obviously, we don't do that with every member, but my fight team that are in the British Opens or fighting for British titles, George has just gone into Queensbury. Like, he's fighting at a very high level. He's fighting pro fighters. I need to know where George's limit is without him even knowing, because I need to protect him. But I also need to know how far I can push him, how far that engine will go before it blows, because you can keep pushing. And the body is so resilient if you allow it to be pushed, but you just got to...
the mind goes on before the body.
Oh, yeah, as you know from your martial art days, your brain will give up. So again, if you're doing a sparring drill, a bag drill, a focus pad drill, a burpee drill, something that will kill you, like, you'll go, and then you'll give up. But then 5 seconds later, you can go again. It might only be for another 10 seconds, but at that point where you're going to pop, you go, oh God, that's enough. But so when you're fighting, you get stopped and you give up. Then a second later, you're like, no, I'll go again. Then it's like, well, you've given up. And it's almost training your brain not to give up and have resilience. And obviously the SAS talk about it. Foxy and Middleton talk about that all the time.
And the books have been fascinating.
Yeah.
So that little ginger kid who was being bullied in the school playground and people would steal his Coca-Cola bottle, what's next? Where that's a horrible cliche question, but where next to HKA, where do you see it being in 10 years' time?
Honest answer, I don't know. I didn't think I would be where I am today last year, and then I wouldn't have thought that the year before and the year before. HK continues to grow. As you know, 2019, last year, was a massive year for growth for me. I've been hurt a few times, like in business, and it's kind of made me keep everything really close to me. No, it's my baby, no one can have it. And that's not because I was precious about it, but because every time I've kind of opened the doors up, I've kind of got hurt. So the doors close again, and you don't know that to happen. So last year I've been on a bit of a journey for myself to allow myself to grow. But then I have a breaking point. I can't talk to 300 members each week. I can't teach 300 people and give them 100% of me all the time. It's impossible. So over last year, I've learned to kind of open them doors again. I've learned to have staff come on board. I mean, last week we collectively we've done about 50 PTs, and at the time, when I say at the time a year ago, I'd be like, I can't let anyone else do it. But what was happening is people were losing out because they only wanted me and I could only give them me. But obviously now we've trained staff up good enough that are as good as me, if not better in regimes to what they can teach. And now we can teach more people because we have a better staff. You can go to a restaurant and have like one person that was the cook, the chef, the person on the front desk, the till lady, the bar staff. You know, you have to have a team. So last year I learned about building a team, and I don't know where that team is going to go next year. But what I do know is last year was probably the best. Well, it was the best year we've ever had. A little bit stressful for me because I've learned that I've had to manage. So I've got a new job, new role, as well as being an instructor, and so yeah, I've learned myself, and even today, you know, I've had to change a few things about just to kind of make it work. But that's part of growth. That's part of learning. And I've signed up to like Rob Moore's course, and you know, I'm learning from other people that are much higher than me.
Yeah.
You know, people always talk about, I don't want a franchise, but people said about opening like a second gym or allowing someone else to coach. Even 6 months ago, I would have gone, no, not a chance, not a chance. But I'm not saying never, but it is a possibility. I've got people like in Spain asking me to go and teach them. Obviously, I can't just go to Spain for a week, but that's kind of where we're starting to get to.
Yeah. Because again, the offering, the product that you offer is quite a unique one. Because you know, there are other places in town where you can go and you can learn to kickbox, you can learn to box, or whatever. But it is that much wider, and obviously coming out of your own experiences, that's why it's the way it is. But there is that wider offering that you're giving, and it's providing that sort of pastoral care, support, and the numbers. You know, to have 300 members. And there are times you go into your place and there's barely room to move.
Yeah, it has been pretty insane.
It must get to a stage sometimes where you sort of walk in there and have this just real sense of satisfaction that, you know, what I have created is working.
I still remind myself every week where I've come from, and you know, training in a dirty, horrible, rented hall that will give you splinters. And do you know what I mean? Like from way back in the day, and you know, getting up at 6 a.m, working till 5 p.m, and then going to the gym and working till 9 p.m, and then coming home and doing more. I remind myself, because I've worked BT for 17 years as well, while the two balanced, or not balanced as the case may be.
Well, so some of the, I remember again looking at your social media feeds, and we were sort of training at your little gym, the Hive, at that time, and you were doing that full-time job with BT, and then finishing that, and then doing effectively another full-time job in the evening running HKA.
Yeah.
You know, to do that, and to do that over the period of time you did it is no mean feat.
No, and I, you know, Charlotte, the wife, towards the end was saying like something's got to give, like you're starting to burn out, and I was like, no, I'm not, no, I'm fine, you know, crack on, and I'm happy to work every hour God sends, as you know, 3 a.m. up wide awake doing paperwork and stuff. But yeah, I was doing like well over 100 hours a week. You know, sometimes 110 plus. I think the max was like 117 hours. It was insane. But I maintained that. I was doing 100-hour weeks for a couple of years, and again, just because it slowly, you know, I had BT, which was a 40-hour week job, and then I had kickboxing, which was a 15-hour week, and then the next year it was 20, and the next year it was 30.
It just crept up.
And it just crept up, and you just slowly get used to it. So when I left BT 4 years ago, obviously that was a massive transition. Scary step. Losing all of that guaranteed money, holiday, sick pay, tools, pension.
All those safety nets.
All the safety nets, to chase that dream. And don't get me wrong, I'm so glad I made that step.
But actually, you say that was a scary step to make, and it was a big step to make. But talking about a number of the other things you've done during your life, actually, I'd have been surprised if you hadn't. It seems a very Carl Denny-ish thing to do.
Yeah, I guess it does, and I guess kind of as I got older, obviously marriage, divorce, 2 children that I obviously see 5 days a week, but I guess because of that, it wasn't I'm scared of leaving my job. It was I'm scared of losing my job, or leaving my job, losing my guaranteed wages, and therefore not being able to pay the maintenance money, not being able to buy them clothes when they need it, go away for the weekend. Am I going to be able to give my daughters what I'm giving them now? If I'm working hard, yes, I can. You know, BT was good wages and kickboxing was doing okay, so I was doing all right. But losing that BT, all of a sudden, things got a bit tight for a little while. It was an educated risk, one that I thought about for many years. I'll leave at Christmas. I'll leave at Easter. I'll leave.
I'll give it another couple of months.
You know, a year later, I'm still there. So it was an educated risk that took a long time, and it was. I wanted to make sure that I could provide for my family still. I didn't want to be one of them dads that, like, say to Jen, well, I can't give you maintenance money this month because classes have been quiet. And that was the thing then at kickboxing. You know, one day you could have 25, and next day you could have 5. So you think, so I've gone and worked for 4 hours for a tenner because that's where it was. So I guess then my brain then went into, right, we need to grow, we need to build, I need to be better at my job, I need to be better at coaching, I need to help more people, which I have done my whole life anyway, but that's kind of, I guess, where my brain naturally went to.
Okay. So whatever the next step is, good luck with it. I'm sure it's going to be fascinating.
Who knows, it's going to be exciting. I don't know where it's going to be. My staff don't know where it's going to be. I guess just continuous growth
and development.
Yeah. And I love what we do. I wouldn't change it for the world. So.
Carl, it has always been a pleasure and fascinating as well. So thank you very much for giving us your time.
Thank you for coming and talking to me and kind of dissecting my life a little bit. Lots of people ask me all the time, and obviously I don't normally have a spare 2 hours to sit down and tell them, and obviously I had to do that 1,000 times over. And there's not many people I kind of really trust or want to sit down and kind of go through that with. So, I appreciate you coming in and kind of helping talk with me through it.
I enjoyed it.
Cool, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. I think we'll be pretty good at that as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's fine. So I'll do my intro first.
Okay.
I'm with Carl Denny, who's owner and chief instructor at Hastings Kickboxing Academy. Okay. So I'm seeing that video you put up.
We stick it in the outtakes.
Yeah. I'm with Carl Denny.
So today I'm here. No, that's not Ornament Turtle. So today I'm here with you.